afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. This is Newsfeed at noon on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. The headlines: dismissed Bamban Mayor Alice Guo, also known as Guo Waping, may be coming in and out of the country, according to one senator. Volcanic smog from Taal volcano reaches Metro Manila. And the first UK £1 coins with King Charles on it is now out. Senator Win Gatchalian believes dismissed Bamban Mayor Alice Guo, also known as Guo Waping, has been coming in and out of the country. Gatchalian points out Guo was able to submit to the Justice Department a notarized counter affidavit for a human trafficking case filed against her on August 15. The document was notarized on August 14 by a certain attorney Elmer Galicia. Gatchalian says his staff was able to talk to Galicia on the phone, and the lawyer claimed Guo personally came to his office in Bulacan on August 14. In a Senate hearing Monday, Senator Risa Ontiveros revealed Guo has already left the Philippines. Ontiveros said based on information she has, Guo arrived in Malaysia on July 18. But Guo's lawyer insists his client is still in the Philippines. In a radio interview, Stephen David said Guo herself told him she has not left the country. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Immigration believes Guo has already left the country and she did it illegally. Joining us now is Bureau of Immigration spokesperson Dana Sandoval. Good afternoon, Ms. Sandoval. So is Alice Guo no longer in the country?
Good afternoon. Yes, Alice Guo is not in the country, but if we look at the records of immigration, there is no recorded departure of Mayor Alice Guo, no recorded departure of Sheila Guo and Wesley Guo. But upon confirmation with our counterparts, we were able to find out that they have visited at least 3 Asian countries in the past month.
Mm-hmm. So she left illegally. How did she do it?
We have several theories on how she was able to do it. We are looking into her attempting to evade immigration inspection through the use of possibly a private airstrip, through flying out a private airstrip, or through cross-border water travel in the southern region. So those are the 2 major theories that we are looking into. We are still currently backtracking her travels all the way from Indonesia, Singapore, and Malaysia to see how she was able to depart the country. But definitely, this is illegal. This is not through formal channels as major airports or seaports.
Mm-hmm. So with her departure, obviously, people are saying this points to high levels of corruption in our agencies. So what is the BI now doing about this?
Yes, this is part of our investigation. Of course, we're also looking into our people, if there are any immigration personnel that are involved in this scheme. But also, we are also expanding this to look into other agencies that might be complicit in the departure of Alice Guo. The presence of immigration is limited to formal ports only. So these are just the airports and the seaports, the major airports that we know. But there is no immigration presence in areas like private airstrips and our shorelines. These are being monitored and managed by different government agencies. And we are hoping that by providing the information to the Department of Justice, this data will be forwarded to the NBI for an investigation as well. Because these informal channels of travel are being abused already, not just by Mayor Guo, but we have also seen this in numerous human trafficking cases. That's why it's really high time that the government looks into these informal ports for something to be done to better monitor the exit of people there.
Yeah. Well, what information does the Bureau have as to where is Alice Guo now?
So far, the information that we have gathered from our counterparts is July 18, Mayor Guo traveled to Malaysia, then flew to Singapore on July 21. She arrived there with her relatives Sheila Leal Guo and Wesley Leal Guo. On August 18, that's the latest update, just the other day, she was found to be traveling to Indonesia through Batam Island. And that's the latest that we have found from our counterparts.
So, Ms. Dana, many people are confused because during the Senate hearings, the Bureau have been assuring that Alice Guo was still in the country. What happened?
As per our record, she still is in the country because she did not leave via formal ports and not through immigration inspection. So we are unable to determine as of now what channel she used to evade immigration scrutiny. I think this is the major point here is that she evaded immigration scrutiny by bypassing it and going through illegal channels to be able to depart the Philippines.
So as per your last record, August 18, she was in Indonesia. But how about Senator Gatchalian's theory that Guo had been coming in and out of the country? What's your take on that?
So far, there are no clues or information as to her arrival again in the Philippines. What actually made the investigation started rolling is that when last week, Thursday last week, we received information that she was flying in from Singapore to the Philippines. But upon confirmation with the airline, we found out that she did not board the flight. So the last record or information that we have is that she departed and has not yet arrived in the Philippines.
So what then now is the next step in tracing or even extraditing her?
To be able to extradite her, I think the Philippine government really needs to cancel her passport. We have inquired about this already with our counterparts, and they told us that they will not be able to do anything if there is no case against Mayor Alice Guo, and if she still has her valid travel document. But I think canceling her travel document will prompt them to extradite her because she will end up as an undocumented alien, and they would be able to forward her or deport her back to the Philippines.
All right, thank you for your time, Ms. Dana Sandoval, spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration. Volcanic smog from Taal reaches parts of Metro Manila. That's according to Weather Bureau Pagasa, which cited the wind direction from Batangas to the National Capital Region. Environment officials have monitored unhealthy air quality in Caloocan, Parañaque, Pateros, and Makati. They're checking if the fog has contributed to this. Former Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio believes recent incidents in the West Philippine Sea are not a result of random high seas confrontations. Carpio says they are deliberate actions by the Chinese Coast Guard to force the Philippines out of its own exclusive economic zone. Bea de la Cruz reports.
The maritime dispute between Philippines and China worsens as Philippine and Chinese Coast Guards trade accusations following collisions in the West Philippine Sea. China claims the PCG's BRP Bagakay conducted dangerous maneuvers that caused the collision CCGV 21551 after it was ordered to leave the area. China insists on its territorial claims in the West Philippine Sea, adding the PCG entered the shoal illegally. BRP Bagakay sustained extensive damage, but the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea says otherwise and says it was a Chinese vessel that rammed BRP Bagakay.
That short video does not tell the entire story, no? It's a spliced video, it's a misleading video. It again shows China as the benevolent actor here, no? Allegedly, they were conducting a law enforcement operation, controlling the movement of the two ships, when in fact, it was not 4410 or BRP Bagakay who ramped 21551, it was the other way around. 21551 in truth rammed our vessel BRP Pagagay 2 times. And the physical evidence proves this.
The incident comes in the wake of a diplomatic protest lodged by China over the presence of the Coast Guard ship BRP Teresa Magbanua and Escoda Shoal. The vessel is in the area to patrol and monitor the waters that fall within the country's exclusive economic zone. Malaya says BRP Bagakay was on a resupply mission.
The incident happened many nautical miles away, 20. Tama ba, Commodore Tariela? 20 nautical miles away from Sabina Shoal or Escoda Shoal. And the purpose of the PCG vessels were to resupply our troops in Lawak Island, no? So there is no connection whatsoever to the BRP Teresa Magbanua. And just to put everything in context, Escoda Shoal or Sabina Shoal is very close to Palawan. It's 70 nautical miles off Palawan, no? So the presence of BRP Teresa Magbanua there is critical because we are concerned with possible reclamation activities. We are concerned with possible illegal fishing, poaching in those waters. That's why the BRP Teresa Magbanua is there, no? Protecting our rights, conducting law enforcement operations, flying the flag.
But it wasn't just BRP Bagakay and CCGV 21551 that hit each other. The PCG says another Chinese vessel rammed BRP Cape Engaño also near the Escoda Shoal, damaging the PCG vessel as well.
The Chinese have always been complaining on the presence of BRP Teresa Magbanua in Escoda Shoal. They even called the vessel as semi-aground. They're even saying that we're going to use Teresa Magbanua as our forward deployment base for the Philippine government. So we can just probably the main reason why the Chinese government thought that the two 44-meter vessels, 4410 and 4411, are proceeding to Escoda Shoal to reinforce the 9701 is probably what they were thinking.
Former Associate Justice Antonio Carpio believes the incidents were not a result of a random high seas confrontation, but rather a more deliberate action by the Chinese Coast Guard to force the Philippines out of its own EEZ.
Really no reason why China would intentionally ram a Philippine Coast Guard vessel. None at all, because there's freedom of navigation there. And it's so far, it's over 20 nautical miles from the lagoon itself. That's very far. That's beyond the, even beyond a territorial sea if Escoda Shoal is a high tide feature. So this is deliberate. This was ordered from somebody up there in the chain of command of their Coast Guard.
Bea de la Cruz, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Former Ilocos Sur Governor Chavit Singson may soon return to politics. In an interview on At the Forefront here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel, Singson said many, including former President Rodrigo Duterte, have been urging him to run for senator in 2025. But when asked if he would support Sara Duterte if she runs for president in 2028, Singson, who was instrumental in creating the Marcos-Duterte tandem, said it's a wait-and-see situation right now.
To be supporting her in the same way that you supported President Bongbong Marcos in 2022?
That will be my problem. So I don't know the future because there are a lot of conflict now. I really don't know yet.
If, for example, President Bongbong Marcos fields their own candidate in 2028
Yes.
against Vice President Sara Duterte, will that be a difficult decision?
Well, it depends who will be his candidate. It's really a problem because both sides are my friends. Like now, President Duterte endorsed me to run for senator. So, if you recall, during the impeachment, they said, you're very popular now. Are you going to run for senator? I did not run. No, I said, I would not run any position. I didn't run to any position. So, if that time comes, it will be a problem for me. I'll just wait, whoever the candidate of the other party.
Would you consider running for Senate in 2025?
I think I'm, because of the endorsement of President Duterte, I said it's an honor to be endorsed by President Duterte. So I have to meet with my family first and ask my friends, because when I was the governor, I was the president of the Governors League. When I was the mayor, I was the president of the Mayor's League. When I became a councilor, I'm also the president. So I'll ask them. I might run. I'm not sure. My only problem is they might think that I'm doing all this help that I'm doing because I'm running for senator. But that's not really the reason. It just so happened that a lot of people are now encouraging me to run for Senate.
U.S. stocks climbed for an eighth straight day, marking their longest rally this year. The Dow Jones gained 0.6%, while the S&P 500 and tech-heavy Nasdaq both rose by about 8%. The sharp turnaround from the early August sell-off continues as investors are eyeing more hints for a rate cut from the annual economic symposium later this week at Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
And in terms of what he says and doesn't say, I think that there will be a keen ears listening to see if he opens the door to potentially a larger than a 25 basis point cut. Market reaction wise, if we don't see a cut in September, I think it is going to make a lot of market participants, ourselves included, somewhat uneasy, given the fact that no matter where you look, the data is saying that higher rates are having an adverse impact on the US economy, whether you look at the labor market or housing or inflation data. So it will really make us question what the objective of the Fed is and why they can't read the writing on the wall.
Internationally renowned chef Gordon Ramsay is finally opening a restaurant here in the Philippines, and that's happening this month. The Gordon Ramsay Bar and Grill will be located at Newport World Resorts in Pasay City. Reservations will be accepted starting today, August 20th. Ramsay and Newport World Resorts Chairman Kevin Tan made the announcement after finalizing the details during a recent meeting in Macau. The restaurant is said to be one of the biggest in the resort and can seat up to 100 guests. It's expected to showcase British classics including Ramsay's iconic beef Wellington, grilled steaks and fresh market seafood, as well as high-end wines and expertly handcrafted cocktails. New case of Mpox has just been confirmed in the country. How to prevent catching the virus? That's next when Newsfeed at noon returns. Stay tuned. The DOH on Monday announced the first confirmed Mpox case in the country after the WHO declared it a public health emergency of international concern. But this is actually the country's 10th case since December 2023. To help us understand more about Mpox and how we can protect ourselves from the virus, Dr. Winlove Mojica, Chief of the Infectious Dermatology Division at the UP-PGH, joins us now via Zoom. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, Doc, let's talk about Mpox with this new case here in the country. And given that Mpox is highly transmissible, how concerned should we be?
Well, Mpox is not like COVID. the primary mode of transmission of Mpox is through skin-to-skin contact, unlike COVID, which is airborne. No? So airborne transmission is more transmissible than skin-to-skin contact. So you need close contact to have Mpox. So really, we need not worry too much that this will be another pandemic. However, we must remain vigilant to prevent the spread of Mpox in our country.
So, Doc, Secretary Ted Herbosa yesterday said that the Mpox is among us because the infected person has no travel history. So how should we be dealing with this information now that the virus is here?
Well, there are 10 cases, recorded cases, and that this will spread like wildfire, like COVID. But of course, we need to be careful, no? Because this is the first recorded local transmission. As you've said, there is no travel history of the patient. So this patient got the Mpox through possibly another Filipino that did not know that he or she has the Mpox virus. So again, the emphasis is through skin-to-skin contact. It is not just casual contact, but a close contact.
All right, and tell us more about the symptoms, Doc. The symptoms are more similar to chickenpox, is that correct?
Well, chickenpox is a different type of illness. It comes from a different virus. So Mpox and chickenpox are not related, but they may present very similarly. It can start with flu-like symptoms, fever, sore throat, cough and colds, and then days later, lesions, skin rash will appear. So the differentiating feature of Mpox would be the involvement of lymph nodes. No? You'll have lymph adenopathy, kulani in Filipino. In contrast to chickenpox, usually you don't have that. So if you have skin-to-skin contact, history of skin-to-skin contact, and then you develop fever a few weeks later, and then you develop rash 1 to 4 days later, then do not dismiss the symptoms. You must see a doctor, specifically a dermatologist, to differentiate your condition if what you're having is chickenpox or another bacterial skin infection or a viral infection or Mpox.
So tell us, Doc, when should we get tested, and are tests readily available in clinics or in hospitals?
Okay, so like I said, if you have the history of skin-to-skin contact and you develop flu-like symptoms and rash, generally the public might not be able to differentiate if this is chickenpox, another viral infection, a COVID manifestation, or Mpox. So really the best way is to consult a healthcare worker, specifically a doctor and a dermatologist. Now, as of now, it's only our ITM that is able to process samples for Mpox, but the DOH is working so that other testing centers can be opened so that there will be no congestion with the submission of samples to our ITM.
So one final question, Doc. Is this deadly? Because I understand there is a more serious variant of the Mpox. And what are the best practices to protect ourselves from Mpox?
So in general, Mpox will not cause death, specifically because usually the people who will have this will be generally healthy unless they would have other comorbidities. Any reason for immunocompromised, very, very old, very, very young, they have other conditions like HIV, or they are cancer patients. No, those are the patients that we would expect that they might succumb to Mpox. But among all the cases that we have had in the Philippines, the 10 cases, all have recovered and they are all alive. So in general, to protect ourselves from Mpox, number one, avoid, if you can, skin-to-skin contact, close contact, especially with people who have flu-like illnesses and rash. Next, do not share your personal belongings to others, like your comb, toothbrush, clothes, and towels. And then, actually, Mpox can be prevented with the same measures such as COVID. So, if somebody is sick, don't go to work, wear a mask, and then always wash your hands, open the windows, and maintain physical distancing. So, we are actually not reinventing the wheel here. Same protective measures that we used for COVID.
All right, thank you, Doc, for educating us on this. Thank you for your time. Dr. Winlove Mojica, of the UP-PGH. Heading now to Chicago for the opening night of the Democratic National Convention, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris making a surprise appearance on stage. Harris rallied Democrats as she thanked U.S. President Joe Biden for his leadership. Harris took over as the party's presidential candidate after Biden's shaky debate performance against Republican rival Donald Trump back in June.
This is going to be a great week. Joe, thank you for your historic leadership, for your lifetime of service to our nation, and for all you will continue to do. We are forever grateful to you. Thank you, Joe. And looking out at everyone tonight, I see the beauty of our great nation. People from every corner of our country and every walk of life are here, united by our shared vision for the future of our country. And this November, we will come together and declare with one voice, as one people, we are moving forward. With optimism, hope, and faith, so guided by our love of country, knowing we all have so much more in common than what separates us, let us fight for the ideals we hold dear, and let us always remember, when we fight, we win. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Good night, everyone.
The unprecedented mid-campaign switch from the Democratic side saw Harris closing the gap with Trump in opinion polls, both nationally and in many swing states. Just outside the United Center Arena in Chicago, protests are being held against the Biden administration's support for Israel in the war on Gaza or in Gaza. The demonstrations were mostly peaceful, but several arrests were made after dozens of protesters breached the security fence, drawing riot police to the site. Protesters and even some delegates are seeking changes in the Democratic platform, calling on the Biden administration to stop supplying arms to Israel. Some royal news before we go. The first £1 coins bearing King Charles III's portrait go into circulation across the UK this week. The UK's official coin maker, the Royal Mint, says almost 3 million coins will be released through banks and post offices. The coins also feature an imprint of British bees, a species in an active conservation program. And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Stay tuned to BNC for more top-of-the-hour news on Free TV Channel 31 and also on our website, bnc.ph. Bilyonaryo News Channel, always on top. Good afternoon.